What's up, everyone? We are diving back into the multiverse today for another epic. What if Naruto got a harem of beautiful older women from his dreams Part 3? If you enjoy this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more fanfics like this. Now, let's dive right into the fanfic. Tazuna-san. Sakura was relieved that the old man was alive. How did you escape? Kakashi asked to his client as the old man was scratching his head sheepishly. Well, the kid helped me as he made a copy of himself which turned into me. Then he became bait. The group became shocked at what the old man said. Wait, Naruto is fighting that monster alone. Sakura could not believe what she was hearing. Sasuke gritted his teeth, then he quickly turned around and ran. Sasuke-kun. Both Kakashi and Sakura screamed after him. Sasuke didn't need to go far because suddenly a huge gust of wind can be felt as then the mist cleared. There, right at front of Sasuke, a bit far away from him, stood Naruto with his back turned from the Uchiha. Zabuza gritted his teeth under his bandages, looking at the boy who just became a pest as he now lost his shirt and his bandages. Naruto huffed. He was tired while he also looked at Zabuza. The two were having a face-off when Zabuza saw the old man with the other brats and the copy ninjas. Naruto fell to his knees, which made the group shocked and Zabuza smirk. It would seem you are tired and out of chakra. Damn, the mass shadow clone technique took a lot of me. Naruto, watch out. A huge Zanbeitu was heading towards him. Naruto by instinct narrowly dodged to the right. Arg! The impact the blade has caused hitting the ground made Naruto fly back. Naruto, are you okay? Sakura looked concerned for her teammate as she ran to him, holding him. She looked to see him unconscious. Take care of Naruto, Sakura. Sasuke, stay with Tazuna, Kakashi ordered. No, I'm going. Sasuke defied, not wanting to be outclassed by the Dobi. It's an order, Sasuke, so listen. Kakashi looked serious as now wasn't time to play around. Sasuke gritted his teeth and stayed put with Tazuna and Sakura. Sensei. Kakashi looked to see Zabuza, who dawned upon both Sakura and Naruto. Zabuza attempted to slice the kid and the girl into pieces as they initiated his attack. Chinning, the blade clashed with something alright, and it was Kakashi's kunai. Kakashi used both his hands to hold back Zabuza's huge sword as they both struggled for supremacy. It would seem that Naruto managed to make you angry, Zabuza. Kakashi looked at Zabuza, who gritted his teeth in anger. The boy of yours is well trained as expected from the copy ninja. Zabuza spat. Kakashi's eyes went wide at that remark but quickly resumed the fight. It doesn't matter, it's time we end this fight. It would seem we both agree with something, as then both Zabuza and Kakashi quickly moved back. Zabuza quickly gone for the kill. Water release. Water dragon bullet technique, as he summoned the huge water dragon and launched towards Kakashi. However, it didn't hit Kakashi but clashed with another water dragon. What did he just copy? Zabuza attempted to do another water technique as he did a new series of hand signs. He then summoned his technique, water release, great water. Water release. Great waterfall technique. Kakashi quickly executed the technique, making the Zanbeitu wielder ninja's eyes go wide. Surges of water went up to several dozen meters high as it then streamed down towards Zabuza in one big cascade, much like a gigantic waterfall. In doing so, it resembled a huge wave. Then Zabuza got hit by the deadly technique. Arghhhh. Zabuza screamed as he attempted to cover his body with his hands due to the powerful wave of water making him soar through the sky and land in the clearing. Tazuna, Sakura and Sasuke looked shocked at the battle before them. Can you see the future? Zabuza uttered, who he got up panting and exhausted, looking at Kakashi, who was walking towards him with kunai in his right hand. Yes, and your future is death. Just as Kakashi was about to slice Zabuza's neck, two Senbon needles pierced Zabuza's neck. The mist nin's eyes widened before they rolled to the back of his head and his body went limp. Another ninja with a strange mask, a green battle kimono, and strange brown pants appeared next to Zabuza's body. Whoever it was hard to tell if it was male or female. Thank you, I have been after Momochi for a while now. You have just made my job easier, said the ninja. Kakashi nodded and said, it's a pleasure, but are you sure he's dead? The masked ninja nodded and slung one of Zabuza's arms over her neck while taking the giant blade on the other as he disappeared. Well, Kakashi said, his voice slightly slurring as he looked at his team and client. We'll have to go and take care of Naruto. They all nodded. Tazuna's house. Arg. Naruto woke up in a futon groggily with a towel on his head. He looked around lazily but then quickly came to his senses and jumped off the futon on his guard. He looked at himself as he only wore trousers and his well-developed body was in bandages. It's all right, you're safe now, said melodic voice from the door. Naruto looked and saw a raven, very dark blue-haired woman with black eyes looking at him compassionately. She wore a pinkish shirt with a red V-neck showing her well-developed cleavage as she also wore a brown blouse and sandals. She had a tray with food and medicine which she put down before the blonde man. My dad told me about you. Thank you very much for protecting him. Tsunami bowed to show her respect for the person who protected her family. No, it was nothing actually. Naruto waved his hands frantically, not liking people bowing down to him. It wasn't just me. Tsunami quickly looked up. Yes, it was just you. If it wasn't for you, he would be hurt or most likely dead. Tsunami looked to be stricken as she held herself together. Hey, it's alright now, it's our job anyway. Naruto looked at the woman before him as she nodded. So who are you? Naruto asked sheepishly, scratching the back of his head, laughing lightly. The woman giggled. Sorry, my name is Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter. Naruto nodded. You're Tazuna's daughter? She nodded. And we are in your home? She nodded. Naruto sighed in relief. Team 7 and Tazuna were all sitting on the dinner table eating the meal Tsunami made for them. Kakashi-sensei, when is Naruto going to wake up? Kakashi sighed as for some reason she kept talking about Naruto and was pestering him about it. Why can't I be unconscious like Naruto? Sighed Kakashi as he ate his meal, ignoring the girl. Sasuke, to Kakashi's right, was also eating his meal but this time had something in his ears. Sakura sighed as she looked at the stairs that led towards Naruto. She bit her lips. She wanted to go there but couldn't because Kakashi forbidden them to. Tazuna just drank his alcohol away without a care in the world. Suddenly laughter could be heard as two people came downstairs. Everyone looked. It was Naruto and Tsunami. Sakura blushed when she saw Naruto's visage and looked away. Kakashi looked at him then just ate away. While Sasuke just ate his food in his own world. Blondie, ahaha, you awake? Tazuna laughed while he drank his drink. Naruto just sweat dropped as he looked at Tsunami. You do know what he is drinking, right? Tsunami nodded as she sighed. Alcohol? Naruto nodded. Don't worry kid, this is a safe drink. Naruto just sighed. He just didn't care anymore. Naruto, why don't you just sit down while I get dinner? Naruto nodded at the woman as he then went to join the others. He sat between a drunk Tazuna and Kakashi, who looked to be eating and keeping his mask on the same time. Sweat dropping, Naruto sighed. I don't even want to know how he is doing this. Naruto, are okay? Sakura asked worriedly as she lightly blushed. The Uzumaki nodded, looking at Sakura. He then went towards the person sitting next her. His eyes went wide. It was Sasuke and he looked to be wearing his headphones and listening to his music. So Naruto, what happened out there? Sakura wanted to know what was happening but was ignored. What the hell are you doing? Screamed Naruto, who stood up and walked to Sasuke, who looked at him. They looked at one another as then Naruto took his music player, unplugged the headphones, inhibiting Sasuke from listening to his music, and then took back his headphones. Sasuke eyes narrowed. If you ever touch my stuff again, I will take you to your mother's wedding day. Sasuke's gritted his teeth. You don't know me, Dobi, don't assume you do. Tazuna drunkenly laughed out loud. TCH, and I don't want to know you, just don't go touching my stuff or you're dead. Naruto clenched his fists. Ma Naruto, that's enough. Naruto ignored Kakashi as he went back towards his food. He just got robbed blind by his teammate. He was lucky the music player was the only thing important in his possession. Naruto sighed. His team couldn't be trusted. He looked at Tsunami, who was washing the dishes with difficulty. Tsunami-san, do you need any help? Tsunami smiled. In Zabuza's hideout, Haku sat on a chair overlooking Zabuza's condition when the door creaked open. It was Gato and two of his lackeys with him who came in. So even the mighty Zabuza can be defeated. Ha, the Kiri ninjas are really pathetic. Gato taunted as he walked in. You look down, are you really a demon? Ha. Zabuza chose not to reply at that small tyrant wannabe. Hey you, speak when I am talking to you. Gato reached out to grab Zabuza's but yelped when he felt someone grab his arm forcefully. Don't you dare touch Zabuza-sama with your filthy hands. Haku glared at him, causing both of Gato's samurai guards to draw their blades but to no avail as they found their swords but their own necks in a blink of an eye. Too slow, the samurais started to sweat in fear at the apprentice of the demon of the mist. If you fail one more time then you won't be getting paid and you know what's also going to happen. Gato shouted before leaving with both his bodyguards. Haku then went back tending Zabuza. What an annoying man, said a voice as this caused the master and apprentice turned towards the door. There stood a man with forest green hair with spiky hair that went downwards like a wave. He also had purple eyes. He wore sleeveless white and purple tights with black sandals. Around his head was a rain symbol headband showing that he is from the hidden rain village. He was Rokusho Aoi, a rank missing ninja from Konoha. Zabuza, Haku, Aoi walked towards the two but Haku quickly got ready to attack, making the man stop. You failed the mission, Aoi chuckled lightly. Don't even want to know how you got beaten up so badly, taunted Aoi, making Zabuza's eyes narrow and Haku inwardly angry. Aoi waved his hands comically at them. Hey, don't get angry now. I will show you how to get the mission done properly. Aoi had a leering face when he said the word, mission, making Haku inwardly shiver. The wielder of the Raijin then turned around and walked out, leaving the two alone. Haku, you didn't have to do that, Zabuza murmured as he revealed that he had a kunai in his hand the entire time. Haku nodded. I know, but we can't keep doing this. You know what will happen if we leave, right? Zabuza murmured in his bed. Yeah, they come after us again if we leave Gato's protection. Yes, and you know what kind of man Gato employed to protect him. Haku nodded. The man Gato's shield, horrible man that not even Zabuza and she can beat. She shivered at the thought of facing that man. So we must be patient. Zabuza smiled at his apprentice as Haku smiled back. Yeah, Zabuza-sama. Tazuna's house. Ding dong. Sakura went to open the door while Sasuke sat on the in his own world and Kakashi was reading his porn. Tazuna looked to be watching TV and was laughing for no reason, clearly showing that he was drunk. When the door opened, there came in the backup Kakashi sent for. It was Kurenai, Asuma and Yugao. Kakashi closed his book when he looked at them. You came right on time. The group nodded. Let me brief you on what's happened so far. Kakashi then got up and went to sit on the table with the rest doing the same. When they all sat round, Tazuna's laughter can be heard, making Yugao, Kurenai and Asuma sweat drop. Just ignore it, you will get used to it, said Sakura as they nodded. Wait, before we begin, where's Naruto? Kurenai asked. Naruto went for a walk, he said he will come back later. Kurenai and Yugao's eyes narrowed at what the girl said. Kakashi, tell us what has happened. Kakashi nodded at Asuma as he then told them what happened. Shopping district, pathway. Tsunami was walking home as she finished grocery shopping, even though it was only a small amount of food. It's all we can afford, she bitterly thought as she frowned sadly to what that horrible man did to her country. Behind her a shadow was looming behind as it got closer and closer. The figure then grabbed her shoulder, making her flinch and scream, Hey, it's me, it's me. It was Naruto. Tsunami sighed. Naruto-kun. Naruto nodded. Let's hurry, it's getting late. Tsunami nodded. A man with an umbrella stood on a tree from afar looking at them. Naruto quickly sensed someone as he turned around to the figure's direction, but no one was there. Naruto-kun, are you okay? Tsunami inquired. Yeah, it's nothing, the boy sighed. They then quickly went home. The group were all in the living room as then Naruto came in. Where were you, Naruto? Kurenai asked while she had her arms wrapped into a pretzel-shaped knot, resting just beneath her mature brias. Tsunami looked to be stocking the fridge and closet with the food she has brought. Naruto sighed as he saw the new arrivals. Why are you guys here? Kurenai looked ready to respond, but Yugao interjected. We are backup that just arrived. Naruto nodded. So Naruto, what happened between you and Zabuza? Asuma inquired. I protected the bridge builder as we both tricked the guy. Naruto pointed his thumb to Tazuna, who laughed. Damn right we did. The Junins looked bemused. Naruto, you fought against Zabuza, how did you survive? Sakura was interested on Naruto ever since the incident. Naruto sighed as he ignored her because he quickly helped Tsunami by putting some groceries at the top shelves in which she had trouble reaching. Tsunami looked grateful at the man who saved her father. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Sakura sighed at Naruto, who ignored her. A small kid then came downstairs, alerting everyone. Naruto came towards the kid and patted his head, much to the kid's ire. Sorry kid for using your room. The kid had his head down, then suddenly he smacked Naruto's hand away, making a scene. Inari, don't do that to our shinobis, Tsunami scolded her son. Inari started to shake as he raised his head in anger. You are all wasting your lives. Everyone looked at him bewildered. Why do you try fight against Gato? He is the most powerful man in the world. Most powerful, huh? This made everyone look at Naruto, the kid included. We are all risking our lives here, kid. Naruto then bended down towards the kid. It's our job, besides we are here actually for far less to what your granddad is paying. Tsunami's eyes went wide as she looked at Tazuna, who had a focused look. Look, kid. Naruto then looked Inari in the eye. Your name's Inari, right? The kid nodded slowly. Inari is symbolized to the god Inari for success. The kid's eyes went wide. Naruto suddenly smiled a bright smile. So Inari, wish us luck. Everyone became surprised at the way Naruto handled the situation. As this Naruto, thought Sakura, blushing slightly. Yugao too thought the same thing to the boy she was assigned once to look for. Kurenai smiled at the scene while Kakashi and Asuma too smiled. Sasuke's eyes narrowed at Naruto on the way he was acting. Tsunami was touched at the scene because this is the first time someone tried to reach to Inari. Tazuna smirked as he started to drink. Inari took Naruto's hand off his head and then ran back upstairs. Naruto just smiled. Good kid. Loss of hope but still a good kid. Tsunami nodded. It's because of Gato. Everyone looked at her for an explanation as she told them about Kaiza and how he was executed by Gato. Naruto gritted his teeth. Scum. Everyone nodded in agreement. Naruto came to Tsunami, who looked shaken and in tears, and hugged her. She froze as this shocked her and everyone else. Today is the last time you will feel like this. Whether the world likes it or not, Gato will fall. Tsunami nodded, all of sudden crying harder, hugging Naruto back tightly. Yugao's eyes went wide. Yugao, Gato mustn't die, do you understand? The voice of the Sandaime Hokage echoing inside her head. Everyone nodded, agreeing with Naruto. Since we have backup now, Team 7, it is time for your training. Kakashi closed his book as he then gestured his team to come outside. Yosh! Naruto shouted in agreement. Sasuke and Sakura followed while Naruto nodded to everyone and did the same. In the forest east of Tazuna's house, Team 7 and Kurenai, who decided to go with them, stood there looking at Kakashi, who had his eyes closed. Sensei, what will you teach us? Sakura looked determined, looking at her teacher who was finally going to teach them. Sasuke, Kurenai and Naruto looked in silence as they wanted to know what Kakashi will teach them. Kakashi I smiled. Today we are. Everyone leaned in slightly in anticipation, Sakura holding her breath. Today we will be climbing trees. Naruto and Kurenai face vaulted while Sasuke and Sakura looked bewildered at their sensei. Kakashi, you're teaching them tree climbing now of all times. Kurenai wasn't pleased at the laziness of her colleague. Kakashi just scratched the back of his head as he lightly laughed. Ma, I forgot. Naruto and Kurenai merely sweat dropped. Kakashi sensei, we already knows how to climb trees. Sakura sighed at the stupidity of the training as Kakashi just I smiled at her. I wasn't finished. You are going to climb trees, without your hands. Kakashi chuckled at the flabbergasted looks that two of his genin were sending him. What, that's physically impossible? Sakura asked. Sakura, we breathe fire. Summon lightning and water. Their word impossible isn't in our dictionary. Kakashi nodded towards his Sakura and Sasuke, who nodded. Naruto and Kurenai still didn't look pleased. Good. Now watch closely. The group watched as their sensei walked up to a tree before placing a foot on the tree trunk and continued walking straight up the tree, as if it was the ground itself, until he hung upside down on a branch. Don't hurt yourself now, Naruto said sarcastically at Kakashi with his eyes rolling, which made Kurenai nudge her elbow at him. Kakashi sighed at Naruto as he then carried on. This is known as the tree climbing exercise. This helps you control your chakra better. Kakashi explained before walking back down the tree and onto the ground. What is the point of this exercise? I can use my chakra to perform jutsus just fine. Sasuke said arrogantly. Sakura just nodded her head. You know he has a point. whispered Naruto to Kurenai, who nodded in agreement. This is important as it's a fundamental part of performing the jutsus. Without control, you won't be able to perform stronger techniques. Kakashi pointed out to Obito's legacy as he just grunted in response. Suddenly 3 kunais landed at each genin's feet. Use those to mark how high you have gotten, and since you are new to this I suggest you run and not walk. When you have little chakra left, quickly mark the place you were at and flip back and then start again. The 2 genins then started to run towards their designated tree to get their training underway. However, Naruto just stood there. Kakashi noticed this as he walked towards him. Naruto, why aren't you doing the exercise? Kakashi didn't want another drama from his sensei's legacy again. Before Naruto said something, Kurenai interjected, Kakashi, he already knows the exercise. The Hitaki's eye went wide. What, when did he learn it? Naruto's teammate were preoccupied with the exercise to listen. He learned it with me. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. Kurenai. He is my genin, it is my job to teach him, not yours. The red-eyed beauty eyes too narrowed and responded. It is to my best ability as a Junin to help a genin in need of training. Naruto looked at the heated exchange with concentration. She started teaching me on the day we all had a group meeting, so she has the right. Kakashi's eyes went wide and Kurenai smiled victoriously. Kurenai sensei, I'm going to try finish the leaf exercise. Kurenai nodded at Naruto, who walked away as he heard, you taught him the leaf exercise. Naruto sighed. Naruto was walking towards the bridge when he saw Tazuna, who was finally sober. Hey Tazuna, a voice suddenly called out. What is it, Takeshi? Tazuna asked a build man who was sweatbands to what fishermen wear around his forehead. Takeshi looked down as he sighed. I decided stop working on the bridge. What? Tazuna shouted in shock at another person who decided to quit today. Tazuna, I really want to help you finish the bridge, but I fear that if we continue, Gato will come after us. I have a family to take care of. Tazuna interjected. I have a family too, you know. Takeshi sighed. I'm sorry Tazuna, you should quit as well for Tsunami's sake. The old man shook his head. I cannot, I have a duty to finish this bridge and I will finish it. I'm sorry. Takeshi bowed and then left. Tazuna sighed. What shall I do now? Out of the blue he then saw multiple people running towards Tazuna. Hey old man, let me help out. Yeah, me too, I'm strong as an ox. Me too. Tazuna, give us your orders and we will follow. These were the voices of around 30 Naruto clones that all looked ready. Tazuna was shaken as he then felt someone grab his shoulder. The old man turned around as his eyes met Naruto, who smiled. Tazuna sniffed. Thank you, kid. From afar Yugao watched with a smile. Within a bright beautiful forest sat Naruto, who looked to be meditating. His eyes were closed in concentration as he focused his chakra. He focused and focused deeply as he then breathed in and out. Slowly yet surely chakra started to form outside his body, as at first it could not be seen, but then the chakra became visible. Concentrate. The chakra went up and enveloped his whole body as suddenly a rock flew at him at tremendous speed. Naruto's eyes quickly opened. Imperial. Tikoku. Before the rock hit Naruto, a barrier formed that shielded him from the rock. When the rock hit the barrier, due to the ferocity of the barrier, the rock shattered to pieces. Then suddenly countless of rocks flew at Naruto, by which it all suffered the same fate. Naruto looked exhausted as he was huffing. What is wrong with me? I don't run out of chakra that quickly. What Naruto didn't know was that the reason for his easy fatigue was that he wasn't a host anymore. His used to be cage level chakra descended to a low level Junin to a high Chunin chakra. I need to do more of those chakra exercises, Naruto needed to know. He had to do those exercises in order for him to be where he used to be. Without warning, Naruto's sight became blurry. As the Uzumaki fell towards the grass unconscious. A black-haired woman who wore a sleeveless pink kimono can be seen walking through the woods. These should be enough, thought the woman as her basket was full of herbs. Her lines of thoughts were interrupted when she saw a blonde-haired boy unconscious in the grass floor. What happened here? Haku looked in at the boy sleeping with his back turned on the grass. That's the boy who fought Zabuza-sama. Haku moved closer to the sleeping form of Naruto before noticing the leaf headband tied around his right shoulder. He's the ninja, so that means. Now I can end this nuisance once and for all. All I have to do is snap his neck. Haku's hand inched closer to Naruto's neck before she sighed and shook him awake instead. 1 minute Kasara. Haku's eyebrow twitched as she shook him again, grinning. Haku sighed as the boy grunted, pushing her hand away. It would have been easier to snap his neck. Haku once again shook him patiently, this time waking him as he yawned and rubbed the sleep from his eyes, causing Haku to blush slightly at the cute scene before her. If you sleep out here, you might catch a cold, Haku told him with a gentle smile. Naruto shivered as he nodded. His immunity went down the drain as one time Kasara was nursing him when had the flu. So what are you doing out here, miss? Naruto asked the unknown lady. Haku, I came out into the forest to collect some herbs for my friend who is currently ill and then saw you sleeping there. Haku lied with a smile. Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly as he chuckled lightly. Sorry about that, Haku. Haku nodded, then Naruto went for a handshake. Name's Uzumaki Naruto. Haku, nice to meet you. Haku smiled as she took his hands. Your hands are soft. Naruto marveled at his soft hands. Your hands are firm. Touché. Haku tried her best not to giggle. So you train Naruto. You must be strong. Naruto nodded. I have to be strong. Haku titled her head to the side. Why do you continue to grow stronger? For what reason do you want to gain more power? Haku asked quietly as she looked right into Naruto's eyes when he suddenly had a faraway look. His eyes, they look so lonely yet bright. I only want to become strong to beat my foes as I believe they are many. Haku sighed. Then you won't become strong. Rize made Naruto's eyes go wide as he quickly looked at Haku. I believe that true strength only comes from protecting that which is precious to you. Naruto shook his head. That's true, as in some way it aligns to mine, but once you attain strength there is nothing to fear. Haku shook her head disapprovingly. One day you will realize how wrong you are, as then she left, leaving Naruto to his devices. No, Haku, you're wrong. If I don't become strong then I will lose everything. Everyone sat at the dining table with Inari, Tsunami and Tazuna since work on the bridge was done for the day when Sakura trudged in through the door followed by an amused Kakashi. So how did the training go, Kakashi? Yugao asked as the two kids went to take a shower first. Sakura was able to make it to the top on her first 2 tries, but that's because she has small amount of chakra. Sasuke still out there, but he didn't reach the top yet but is making progress. Kakashi sighed at how problematic his team become. Asuma smoked his cigarette as he was looking at Kurenai, Naruto and Inari conversing. The woman in question he was looking at was giggling and smiling happily at the argument Naruto and Inari were having. She never smiled or laughed like that ever. Asuma narrowed his eyes at the boy she was engaging these acts to. Uzumaki Naruto. She can't. Not anyone but him. She is 5 years older than him. Asuma sighed as he looked at Kakashi. And where did he find a woman like Kira from? Are they? Asuma quickly thrown those thoughts away as he smoked deep. Stop it, Naruto, he is just a kid. Kurenai scolded, but there was a hint of playfulness. He ain't no kid when he is spouting nonsense. Inari was being held back by Tsunami. Well, as true Bruce Lee easily beat Chuck Norris. Kid, you're that close of getting a spanking, you hear? Naruto looked ready to jump the kid if it wasn't for Kurenai. Screw the Chuck Norris facts. Inari language, Tsunami scolded. Forget this kid, you're in for it now. Mom, help me. Inari ran around the dining table with Naruto running after him, Tsunami looking amused, shaking her head. HMPH, you're getting emotional on just actors. Both Naruto and Inari looked at Sakura as they pointed at her. Hey, don't insult our hero's pinky forehead. Sakura, who came from her shower, fumed at the double insult and started to chase both Naruto and Inari. Everyone laughed while Tsunami smiled at her son's innocence coming back slowly, as it was all thanks to Naruto. Thank you, Naruto. As the sun was setting, Sasuke finally reached to the top of the tree as he huffed in exhaustion, looking at the magnificent view of the forest. He was thinking of 2 individuals, one his destination and the other in his path. Uchiha Itachi and Uzumaki Naruto. He heard from Sakura that Naruto already knew the tree exercise. This made his blood boil. Why is this happening? Why? He could not find any damn reason as to why the Dobi, the loser who failed the academy 3 times in a row, could be stronger than him. I thought he was only good at taijutsu, but he knows ninjutsu as well. That must be the only reason he could match that Junin woman. Sasuke clenched his hands tightly. I promise you, Uzumaki Naruto, once I get my Sharingan I will do all I can to beat you, even if I have to use other means. He smirked. The next day, Wave Shopping District. Right in the early morning, Tsunami again went out, this time clothes shopping for her son, looking at used clothes that the store clerks were selling, making her sigh. She then decided to just look around and then go home. On the pathway home, Tsunami was walking in silence as she was in deep thought. Maybe we can this time beat Gato. A shadow slowly loomed behind her while she was in thought, and when the shadow got close enough, the figure right away grabbed her mouth from behind with a cloth. MPH. Tsunami was alarmed as she tried to struggle, but to no avail as she lost consciousness. The figure smirked. While everyone slept peacefully, Naruto put on his jacket and went out for a run as he closed the door slowly behind him. He wasn't the only one awake as Sakura was watching him from the stairs and then ran after him. Kakashi and Yuga looked afar, then Kakashi nodded at her, in which she disappeared. Shopping District. Naruto, when he finished his lap, he was in the shopping district. He then stopped as he pulled something out of his pocket. It was the tablets Kasara gave him. Use it on your most important moment, he sighed as he put it back in his pocket. When he was about to leave, he heard voices in the alleyway. His curiosity piqued to the fullest, so he sneaked to have a listen, hiding behind a trash can. Two thuggish samurai-looking guys were speaking to another. Hey, the woman was easy to get. She is hot, will be a good fuck. Yeah, but first boss is a use for her. Almost feel sorry for her, that's for messing with Gato. Naruto's eyes went wide as he suddenly moved his movement, slightly hitting the trash can, which made a sound. Who's there? The samurais were on full alert. Naruto sighed as he then kicked the trash can towards them, making one of the samurai slice it in two. Naruto with great speed went behind one samurai, scaring him and the other samurai. Why you? The other samurai tried to slash at Naruto, but his friend was in the way. Wait, don't. Naruto, using this opening, unsheathed the samurai's sword, by which the blade's hilt hit the samurai, who attempted to do a downward slash in the belly hard, making him grunt and let go of his sword to nurse his belly. Naruto pushed the samurai in front of him, the samurai crashing into the other one who was nursing himself. Naruto quickly grabbed the sword while it was in the air and stabbed the samurai he pushed in the back. Tsuki. Naruto smirked. Well, what you know, he got the same name as Ayame's old man. The samurai looked at his friend, who fell dead with a sword in his back. Naruto stepped on Tsuki's back and pulled the sword out of him. A sick squelch can he heard. The other samurai was in the floor as he started to shake at Naruto's cold blue eyes. Now tell me what happened to that lady. The samurai wailed pathetically. In an abandoned warehouse. In one of the abandoned warehouses stood Aoi with some thugs while Tsunami was banged up and tied, her eyes covered. Here is the woman you requested, boss, said one of the thugs. She is a beauty, Aoi leered at the shivering Tsunami. Boss, what will you do now? Aoi smirked as he looked at the thugs. Well, I will just wait for the shinobis to show up. How do you know they will show? Aoi sighed at their stupidity. One of them will come eventually. You need help, boss. Aoi smirked. Yeah, I found a way for you to be useful, the thugs gleamed. You see, I have a beautiful weapon begging to come out and play. The thugs nodded as, so you need practice, Aoi nodded smiling, and I have the practice I need. What will you practice with? Aoi had a murderous look. You. The thugs' eyes went wide as they saw Aoi bring out a blade with a beautiful golden hue as it made a crackling sound like lightning. They all ran as Aoi then disappeared. Screams echoed and piercing flesh can be heard. Tsunami whimpered. Naruto came upon the entrance of the warehouse in deep concentration. Ca, can I go now? Naruto looked at the scared thug behind with cold eyes. Beat it. Naruto snapped at him, in which the thug ran like a coward. Slowly Naruto went to the front door of the entrance. It might be a trap, I should sneak in just be sure, but he soon changed his mind when he smelled burnt flesh and blood. Naruto's eyes went wide as he quickly rushed inside to save Tsunami. What he saw made him gasp. Blood was everywhere as there laid 6 thugs, all of them were cut up by a blade. Naruto slowly walked towards the carnage as he stepped on the blood, soaking his sandals and his toes. HMMPH. A murmur can be heard, making Naruto look around. He then heard it again, which led to the darker corner of the warehouse. Naruto went towards it and saw Tsunami tied up, who tried her best to budge free. Tsunami. Naruto ran towards her as she screamed and moved frantically even more when she heard Naruto. Naruto, thinking she was uncomfortable, came upon her and took the cloth that covered her mouth and eyes. Mafa, watch out! Tsunami screamed. Naruto's eyes went wide as he sensed something towards him, so using his instinct he did a backflip and flew a distance away. Naruto's neck bled a little as he wiped it while he was huffing. His instinct was right, he narrowly dodged a blade from beheading him. Ku. A figure came from the shadows. It was Rokusho Aoi and he had a glowing golden blade. Naruto looked at the blade in wonder, making Aoi chuckle. Ah, you like it? It is called the Raijin. Naruto's eyes went wide. So you're Rokusho Aoi, a rank missing ninja from Konoha. Aoi chuckled again. And you're Uzumaki Naruto? This shocked said Uzumaki, you're quite famous when I was in Konoha. Aoi smiled a cruel smile. We Junins used to have a game called Fox Hunt. As when you were in hiding we started to seek. Get what I mean? Naruto's eyes went wide as Tsunami trembled. Aoi walked towards Naruto. Naruto took a blade that was in the floor and got ready for battle. I seem to be the lucky one and found you now. Aoi ran towards and swung his Raijin and Naruto who swung the blade at him. Both blades clashed as then suddenly Naruto screamed, Naruto. Tsunami feared for his safety. Naruto flew towards the ground as he shook due to being electrocuted. Kukukuku. You fool, using metal on electricity. Aoi looked at the shaken form of Naruto as he then raised his Raijin blade that glowed vigorously and then tried to finish the brat and charged at Naruto. It's over, demon. Aoi then jumped right towards Naruto with the Raijin in tow as he attempted to do a downward slash. Naruto. Said boy eyes shook as then the blade descended. Zing. The blade connected. Tsunami and Aoi's eyes went wide in shock. The Raijin bladed clashed with a wave of chakra as it protected Naruto from harm. The Raijin blade struggled for supremacy as Aoi held it while he looked shocked. Naruto then slowly got up, pushing Aoi back. Imperial. Tikoku, screamed Naruto as his chakra exploded, pushing Aoi back as he grunted towards the wall hard, which the former Konoha ninja crashed right into. It created a hole in the wall. Naruto then coughed as he fell exhausted from using his chakra. Naruto. Tsunami freed herself and then she ran towards the blonde. Ugh, you brat. Aoi got out of the rubble and he looked pissed as he suddenly ran towards Naruto, rage in his eyes. Naruto pushed Tsunami away as he took another samurai blade that in the floor and also charged. Ching. Zoom. The Raijin blade and the samurai blade clashed. You fool, metal conducts electricity. Aoi smirked, thinking the same thing will happen again. Nothing happened as although the Raijin was increasing its power, suddenly a blue chakra also matched the Raijin as it glowed in amazement. What? Aoi looked on, shocked evident in his eyes at the glowing blue blade. Naruto smirked. Like what you see. This angered Aoi as he tried to push Naruto back but to no avail. Naruto. A voice echoed, surprising Naruto. Aoi smirked at the opening and quickly pushed Naruto away, who quickly became on the defensive as Aoi used his speed not to him but to the voice. Naruto screamed at the figure, Sakura. Aoi charged at a shaken-looking Sakura who was at the entrance. Time turned slow. Aoi with a murderous grin charged at Sakura with his Raijin glowing brighter as it was searing. Tsunami's scream echoed. Sakura was trembling in fear, falling to the ground. Someone help me. She closed her eyes. Sasuke-kun. Ching. Metal clashing reverberated in Sakura's ears. What? Sakura opened her eyes. What she saw made her gasp. Naruto intercepted Aoi, blocking the Raijin again with his samurai blade. Sakura, take Tsunami and run. Sakura was terrified as she froze. Naruto. Naruto looked at her in anger as his eyes glowed vigorously. Now. Sakura nodded as Tsunami ran towards her and then they both ran outside. Kukuku, she's quite a useless ninja. Naruto looked Aoi while they held in combat, but it was thanks to her you lost. Naruto's eyes went wide as he felt electricity running in his body, stinging him in the process. Damn. Naruto tried to use Tikoku on his blade to block the Raijin. Too late. Aoi had a murderous grin as he then charged the Raijin full blast, thus the electricity came in powerful currents, hitting Naruto dead on. Arg! Naruto screamed as the lightning hit him dead center. Aoi smirked. Outside, Tsunami and Sakura heard Naruto's scream. Naruto. Sakura tried to run in to help him but was held back by Tsunami. Let go of me, Naruto needs me. Tsunami held firm, holding the frantic girl. You will only be a nuisance. Let go, you're only a civilian, what can you? Slap. Sakura fell towards the floor, her left cheek red. Shocked, she looked at Tsunami, who looked angry. How dare you? It was you that got him in this mess. Sakura's eyes went wide at her remark. Suddenly tears came in her eyes. Naruto. The destruction was horrifying as there was a huge hole in the warehouse. There in the hole laid Naruto, all of his clothes torn off as he was burned to a crisp, smoke coming out of his body. Aoi stood at the edge of the wreckage. HMPH, the forest green-haired man turned around as he walked off. Now time to find my prey. In the hole, Naruto's charcoaled form laid there as he looked to be dead. His hands twitched, suddenly he moved towards his pocket. Use it on your most important moment. He slowly and painfully took out a plastic container tablet on them as it looked unharmed from the lightning. Naruto tried to reach it towards his mouth, but his strength let him down as he let go of the tablets. Suddenly he couldn't move his arms. Ugh! In a gruff voice he tried to crawl towards the tablets. Slowly crawling, he reached it and then used his mouth to nibble it open. It was very difficult due to the cover being plastic, but using his tongue and his teeth he managed to get one. Arg! Naruto felt a tablet on his tongue. Letting the plastic container out of his mouth, Naruto chewed on the tablet as he then swallowed. Suddenly his heartbeat moved at a fast rate. Naruto screamed as he then moved around frantically. His seal on his chest glowed bright red as the fox mark looked to be alive. The fox tattoo moved around his body, its eyes glowed as it growled, Arg! Suddenly red chakra sword exploded out of the hole through the roof, destroying the ceiling as it soared in the sky. Tsunami looked at the warehouse as it glowed red, as then red energy soared to the sky. Sakura on the floor looked on bewildered. Yugao beat up some thugs as she also saw the red energy. Is this the fox? No, it feels different. The fox is eviler, but this feels cold and empty. Yugao, being a sensor type, knew how the chakra felt. Kakashi, Kurenai and Asuma looked on in amazement. You think this is the fox's doing? Asuma looked at Kakashi. I don't know, an energy that big would have unleashed it. Sensei, what shall I do? Kurenai looked on in worry as she clenched her fists. Naruto-kun. Upstairs, Tazuna and Inari slept while Sasuke looked at the red energy. His cold eyes fascinated by the red energy. Such power. Haku, who situated near on top of another roof of a warehouse, watched the displayed power with wide eyes. Zabuza must know about this. This could help us. The girl watched in fascination. Aoi looked at the huge red energy rising from the hole, his eyes enveloped in fear. What's happening? Naruto was slowly rising from the hole as he mind raced. Die, demon. No one wants you, go to hell. Please, you killed my husband. Now kill me and not my daughter, please. Voice of a lady echoed. She innocent, please, no, don't do it, Naruto. Tasuki. Tasuki. Naruto opened his eyes as he screamed. Arg! The whole warehouse shook as the whole warehouse flashed red, scaring the hell out of Aoi as he held the Raijin shakily. The red energy subsided. Aoi looked at the hole, holding his breath as he sweated in fear. A red aura started to come out of the hole step by step. The figure could now be identified. Aoi's eyes went wide. It was Naruto, who was covered in red energy while he had his head down. Slowly Naruto raised his head until his head ranged with Aoi's, his eyes closed. Suddenly the energy disappeared, and when Naruto opened his eyes, it wasn't the vibrant blue he was known for, it was blood red with golden iris. Aoi froze but go out of it as he got into an attacking stance. Naruto, with an impassive look at the former Konoha ninja, suddenly disappeared. This shocked Aoi as the boy was nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? Aoi looked around as Naruto was right behind him. Quickly Aoi sensed him as he then attempted to slash him with the thunder blade, but to no avail as reddish-blue chakra covered Naruto. That technique again. Aoi tried to overpower Naruto again, but then Naruto disappeared again. Fast. Aoi looked around again, but suddenly he was grabbed by the throat by the genin. Arg! Aoi was lifted in the air by the Uzumaki as he looked at the boy. Is that all you got? Aoi became scared, thinking the boy became a demon as he tried to slash him. But suddenly the boy did the impossible. He grabbed the Raijin using only his right hand. What impossible? The red-eyed boy smirked cruelly. Like I said, is that all you got? As then the demon Naruto managed to knee Aoi in the belly as he then skid a couple of yards near the edge of the hole. Aoi tried to get up, but then suddenly Naruto stepped on his left hand with his left leg, putting him in place. What? Aoi couldn't get free as he tried to pull his hand out of the brat's foot, but was impossible to do so. Naruto smirked evilly with the Raijin now in his possession, looking down at Aoi, who looked up in fear. Naruto cruelly smirked. Aoi noticed what he was doing, started to be scared. Nah, Naruto, you're not a demon, you can beat the Kyuubi, please. Naruto licked his lips as he started spinning the Raijin blade so that the blade pointed at Aoi. Please don't do this, just capture me please, Aoi pleaded for his life as he begged. Naruto tilted his head to the side and then laughed, shocking the man. Naruto then stopped laughing as he smiled maliciously. I am a demon, do you want to why? Aoi looked to be shaken in fear as he watched Naruto, who looked him in the eye. His golden iris turning into a slit as he then raised the Raijin, because this isn't Naruto. Aoi's eyes went wide and then moved frantically. No, the demon smirked brutally as it attacked. No, Aoi screamed in terror as he moved his left hand to his face. Squelch, using the Raijin, Naruto impaled the man right in his heart as it pierced his main organ, killing him instantly. The demon Naruto then looked at the impaled form of Aoi, the Raijin sticking out of him. He then pulled it out and threw it to the floor on the other side of the room. The demon then left the dead man as he walked in the hole where he once laid. There was the tablets untouched. He smirked. It would seem you are in predicament, Naruto-kun, the demon chuckled as he took the tablets and put it in his pocket. Voices can be heard from outside. Naruto noticed. Good luck, Naruto-kun. Then the red energy dispersed, thus making Naruto fall to the ground unconscious. Unknowingly, Haku broke in the small window of the warehouse and took the Raijin with her. Naruto, Sakura screamed alongside Tsunami and saw the devastation that the battle between the two caused and a dead Aoi at the edge of crater. Who could have done this? Tsunami held her mouth in fear for Naruto's safety while Sakura ran towards the crater. Tsunami ran with her and both of them saw Naruto within the hole. Naruto. Sakura ran towards her teammate. She held me tight as she screamed for him to wake up. Tsunami quickly checked his pulse as it was still beating. He is fine, injured but alive, Sakura nodded. What happened here? A voice echoed above the crater. It was Azuki Yugao. The purpled-haired woman saw a dead Aoi, went up to him and examined his body. He was stabbed by a blade right in the heart. Who could have done this? Sensei. A voice can be heard within the hole. Yugao looked within the crater. There was Sakura, Tsunami and an unconscious Naruto. Tazuna's house. The Junins and Yugao were gathered in the living room as they were sitting in the table. Sakura and Sasuke were upstairs trying to go to Naruto but were being held back by Kurenai as they weren't allowed to go in. Within the bedroom, Tsunami was nursing him while Inari and Tazuna watched. So that's what happened, said Kakashi as he thought of what Sakura and Tsunami told them. This is a serious matter. Asuma had a serious look. He even wasn't smoking. Yes, but if it wasn't for Naruto, the client's daughter would have been dead or much worse, said Yugao in a professional voice, inwardly shivering. Asuma nodded while Kakashi didn't look pleased. How did Aoi die? Yugao, the woman nodded at her former senpai. He was stabbed by a blade right in his heart. If my assumptions are correct, someone disturbed the fight between Aoi and Naruto and killed Aoi. Then what was Naruto doing in a crater? Asuma was confused in that regard. Because the Raijin's ability is to summon mass lightning, I believe Naruto got hit by it, Kakashi answered the chain-smoking shinobi. Yugao interjected. Thus the crater appeared. Naruto was unconscious the whole time. Asuma nodded. But that doesn't answer the huge red energy. Everyone sighed. What the third Hokage's son said was true. What was that red energy? You think he used that? Yugao asked her senpai, who shook his head. An energy that big would mean that it was released. Naruto wasn't trained yet to use it. Both Asuma and Yugao nodded. They then heard a commotion coming from downstairs. I don't have to tell you twice, Uchiha, Kurenai ordered as the boy grunted. But sensei, we just want to see if Naruto's alright, Sakura worriedly asked. Kurenai's eyes narrowed at the girl. He is in treatment, so wait until he is better. But, Sakura. Kakashi raised his voice suddenly, making both Sasuke and Sakura stop and look at their sensei. He is injured, let him rest, Kakashi sternly scolded his two students. Sakura. Sasuke, from now on you two will receive training tomorrow, Sakura didn't look satisfied. But Sensei Naruto, Kakashi interjected, you of all people need training the most, you almost got your teammate killed. Sakura's eyes went wide as she recollected on what happened as she then had a sad look. Kakashi got up and went to Sakura as he then touched her shoulder as he spoke in a harsh tone, ever since the group formed you of all people disappointed me. Sakura looked about to cry as tears can be seen. You will train and next time you protest you will be punished, you hear? Sakura quickly nodded, then Kakashi looked at Sasuke, you will train as well and I don't want to hear any word from you. HRN, grunted Sasuke. The others looked on as then Tsunami and her family came downstairs. Is he alright? Kurenai worriedly inquired. The rest looked on also waiting for the news. He has injuries all over his body, most of it is burn marks. Sakura gasped as then Tsunami carried, he will be out for a while now. Everyone nodded. Inari looked to be crying, Nisan was so hurt so badly, who could do this to him? Kurenai looked at the kid as she knelt to him, he will be alright in a couple of days. Inari sniffed as he looked at the smiling red-eyed woman. Grandpa said Naruto ni is super strong. Kurenai nodded, smiling brightly at the child, yes he is strong. Asuma looked at the scene as he smiled, Kurenai is good with kids. Inwardly Kurenai was worried sick, hope you are okay Naruto-kun. Tsunami hugged Inari while Tazuna held them both. They all waited for their hero to wake up. Zabuza's hideout. Are sure Haku? Zabuza was testing out the rage and was swinging it around while Haku looked on in worry for his health. Yes, Zabuza-sama, the boy annihilated Aoi. Zabuza was smirking cruelly as he laughed, Zabuza-sama. I knew the kid was special. Zabuza threw the blade to Haku as she looked at him in confusion, not my type of sword. Shall I get rid of it? Zabuza shook his head, no, it will belong to someone else. Who? Zabuza-sama? Zabuza smiled widely, his bandaged face stretching. Haku, it's time we enact the plan. Haku's eyes went wide, but that plan? The apprentice of Zabuza worriedly asked. Yes, with that person we can do it. Zabuza smirked, fire in his eyes. Yes, we can bring back the bloodline users who are imprisoned. Haku's eyes went wide at the plan. Free the bloodline users who were locked up in a large prison in Wave near Gato's stronghold. It is said that Gato allied with the Yondaime Mizukage, funding him in his bloodline extermination. The Yondaime isn't stupid, bloodlines are needed in this world, so he gathered most bloodline users and locked them up so that they get tortured. It was basically a concentration camp for bloodline users where lots of bad activities happened that made Haku sick to her stomach. Haku looked at Zabuza, who nodded at her. She then mentally prayed that Uzumaki Naruto will accept their request. He must. 2 days later, in the room where Naruto rests. Naruto laid on the bed, his eyes empty as he was in deep thought. Fighting Aoi brought back memories. Memories he wanted to forget. When he ate the tablet all he saw was black, then he saw himself stabbing Aoi with the Raijin. Rokusho Aoi, Naruto softly muttered in his pillow. That name brought back a certain memory. Flashback, 3 years ago. In the middle of park at the bench an angry boy sat there as he held his head down. Why? You're my brother, how could you do this? Said Idate Morino as his group was kicked out of the exam, and most of all he was embarrassed in front of everyone by his own brother. Hey, you okay Idate? Said a voice. Idate looked up, still gloomy, and saw a white-haired kid with blue eyes wearing a black and a white t-shirt with matching blue pants and sandals. Shin smiled at his friend. He went to Idate and sat next to him. What's wrong? Idate became even sadder as he looked at his friend. Riko Shin. He met the boy in his academy days. Poor boy never made it in. However, when they met they quickly became friends. He told Shin everything as the boy looked to be frowning. Well, that's a damn shame. I think he is lying. You could try next year. He's my brother. He is always like this, screamed Idate, making his friend flinch. Sorry Shin, it's just. Idate sighed. I don't know what to do. Shin nodded as he touched his shoulder comfortably. Just promise me that you will tell me before you do something stupid. Idate's sweat dropped. Shin was the one always doing stupid things. Sure, I promise, nodded Idate. Shin nodded as he then saw Rokusho Aoi going towards them. Alright, catch you later. Idate nodded at his friend as he left. Shin and Aoi's eyes met and they nodded at each other in a form of a greeting as the boy left. Sensei. Idate looked at his sensei as he felt ashamed for failing him. It's okay Idate, my student. Aoi comforted his student as he then smiled. Hey, why don't we go to that ramen place you and that friend of yours Shin go to? Idate perked. Really, sensei? Aoi nodded, and I will help you become Chunin. Idate beamed. As the sun was setting, Shin was sitting at the swing in deep thought while he drank some juice. Hey Shin, a voice echoed from afar. Shin saw his Idate running towards him. What is it, man? Shin raised an eyebrow questionably at him. Idate smiled. I need you to do something for me. Shin just looked at Idate and had a bad feeling. At training ground 12, almost midnight. Aoi was waiting for his student to come as he was contemplating to what happened. Flashback. After they ate ramen, they were at training ground 12, their team training ground. What? Idate felt hope coming from within him. His sensei said he can become Chunin. He can finally show his brother that he can be something. That's right, the Hokage initiated a special test for those who failed. Only one can do it. I told him you can do it, and with reasons as to why you're the man for the job he accepted. Idate looked, had stars in his eyes. Aoi inwardly smirked, that foolish naive boy. Sensei, what's the test? Aoi nodded as he then told him the secret test. After a minute or two in silence, much to Aoi's ire, Idate accepted. So I have to steal a scroll containing a wooden sword. Aoi nodded. That's right, but here is the secret, your brother is the person you have to avoid in order to get it. Idate was bought there and then. Okay, I will do it, exclaimed the boy. Aoi nodded, inwardly smirking cruelly. What foolish boy indeed. But I can't do it. Aoi's eyes went wide. He needs this fool to complete his plans. Why not? Aoi almost raised his voice, almost destroying his cover. Idate shook his head. I can't beat my brother without a certain someone. Who? Aoi didn't like where this was going. So Idate told him that Shin knows the village inside out and that with him the plan will go without a hitch. Aoi sighed in relief. It just Shin, another useless boy. Aoi nodded. Okay, you can bring him. Idate nodded happily. End of flashback. Aoi looked at the teenagers running towards him. So sensei, shall we begin? Said Idate. Yes, the scroll is located at the Junin Library's secret section. I can give you access, but anywhere beyond there you're on your own. Aoi looked at the two boys as they listened intently. How will you do that? Inquired Shin. Easy boy with this. Aoi showed them his red and white ID card, the color indicating he is a Junin. The boys nodded. All right kids, let's go. Thus they disappeared. The Junin building. Aoi and the boys went past the front desk as they got past the receptionist. Once they got in, the boys were awed. Like what you see, Aoi smiled. Inside the Junin building was so much different from the outside. It was connected to the forest, straight to the training grounds and waterfalls and such. You could see animals like bears, deers and the like as they walked on the pathway. Here is the library. They all went past a small door as they then saw a place with lots of bookshelves. This is where the jutsus are. Aoi looked at the dumbstruck boys as he chuckled. However, you will need a Junin ID card. How do you think we teach the next generation of Genins? Both boys nodded as they looked at Aoi, who pointed upwards. There is where the scroll is located. The boys looked at the massive door with locks on it as they turned around to see Aoi, who was starting to leave. You're on your own now, boys, good luck. Wait. Aoi scowled unknowingly to the boys. What? We need your card. If we see any Junins, we can make an excuse and say we were here to look for you. Aoi nodded at the smart plan to say that they are here to look for him and that he lost his card. Aoi nodded. All right, here, make sure you don't take any techniques, it will know you're not me and the alarm will ring. He then gave it to Shin. Both Idate and Shin nodded at what he was saying. Take a technique and you will be punished severely. Aoi bid the two his farewells as he left. Anbu and ninjas started running towards the Junin building. I heard someone stole the Raijin, sword of the Thunder God. We must get it before the person leaves the country. Aoi smirked. The kids done their jobs. Inside a forest. In the middle of the forest, Aoi waited for the kids to come. Only Idate came. This made Aoi ponder. What happened to Shin? Idate huffed, almost exhausted, with the scroll in tow. Here is the scroll, sensei. Aoi nodded. What happened to Shin? Idate looked depressed. Before we stole it, he said he will be the bait and went to cause a ruckus. I think he got caught. Aoi inwardly smirked. Fool tried to play the tragic hero. What a fool that he will die as a pawn. It's okay, he is a civilian, he might survive. Idate nodded sadly, believing it was his fault his friend is in trouble. Boom. An explosion can be heard from afar. What's happening, sensei? Aoi took Idate by the hands as he dragged him. Quick, the village is under attack, we must get out of the village. But Shin, I can't leave him, I can't. Idate resisted. Smack. Idate fell to the ground as he looked up in shock, holding his face. Aoi looked at him with cold eyes and a maniacal smile. Sensei. Idate was scared, frightened at his sensei. Hey, ahahaha. Aoi laughed, the cruel sound echoing the forest. Idate was trembling. You foolish boy, Konoha isn't stupid, they know it's you that stole it. The other brat is already arrested, and even though they find that I'm responsible, I'm already long gone. What are you saying? Idate stuttered as he was confused while his legs for some reason couldn't move. You are dumb. Ibiki is right to be ashamed of you. Idate's eyes went wide. Yes, it was all a plan and you fell for it. Aoi chuckled. I will be a chunin when I steal the scroll. What utter bullshit. Aoi then laughed. Idate looked to be in tears. Aoi then walked towards the scared boy who trembled. Please don't kill me, please. Idate cowardly pleaded as he covered his arms in fear. Hey, what a coward, you're so much different to your brother. Idate then saw darkness. Konoha gates, east. Aoi ran outside the gates as Hhe suddenly turned around looking at the empty street of the east gate. HMPH, most of the shinobis are dealing with those brats, muttered Aoi smirking. Aoi then saw a white-haired boy standing in the middle of the road. His eyes went wide. Shin. Hey there, smirked Shin at the shocked form of Aoi. There he is. Aoi eyes went wide at what was happening as he heard voices coming towards him. From afar behind Shin, lots of shinobis can be seen running towards him. Their shadows becoming ever clearer. Hey, Shin was chuckling as he had his head down. Aoi looked at him properly this time as Shin had a scroll with him by which the white-haired teenager noticed. Ah, you mean this? Thanks sensei, you were right that a Junin's job is to teach the new generation Genins. Aoi's eyes went wide. We need your card. If we see any Junins we can make an excuse and say we were here to look for you. Aoi nodded at the smart plan to say that they are here to look for him because he lost his card. The brat took his card and stole some techniques using the alarms that were caused by the theft of the Raijin as leverage. Thanks for the gift, man. You got the Raijin and I got some useful techniques. Man, now I know how getting a birthday present feels like. Shin laughed. The voices were getting louder and louder. Shin, come with me, Idate is waiting. Aoi tried to persuade the boy to come with him. Shin ignored him. Aoi called him again. Who is he? Aoi froze. What? Stop being an idiot, they are coming, hurry. Shin looked at Aoi as he suddenly smirked and then shook his head as he turned around. Nay, Aoi sensei, you thought you were the one that was manipulating us. Shin smirked at Aoi's confusion as he narrowed his eyes. You should look underneath, muttered Shin, making Aoi's eyes go wide. Good luck, Aoi sensei, and Godspeed. Shin waved from behind as he walked away, taking a left as he disappeared into the alleyways. Aoi was left alone as he was thinking of one thing. He was duped. The man then saw the group of ninjas coming, so he turned around and ran as the identified shinobis were Ibiki and a group of Anbu running after him. Damn you, brat. In a forest within a small cave, Naruto sat down and started opening the medium-sized scroll as he started to read it. The scroll contained elemental techniques and other training methods. Wind release. Drilling air bullet. 1 week later. Naruto was leaning on his bed looking at the window of his new apartment given to him by the Hokage. He took a smoke of his cigarette as he remembered the meeting with the old man. Taking a smoke again, Naruto saw his shady-looking landlord, who was a suited brown-haired man with sunglasses in the front pocket of his gold suit. The man adjusted his orange tie as he looked up and saw Naruto. He nodded at him, smiling. Naruto nodded back as the man he then took his leave. Naruto smirked. It was time to leave his old life and begin anew. Begin anew, yeah right. A picture stand on he is right glowed due to the sun, making him look at it. Naruto looked at the picture stand on the side of his bed and then took it. It was a picture of Shin and Idate drunk for the first time, smiling. Bastard drank Everclear and was out for days, chuckled Naruto at the scene of a proper knocked out Idate who lied in the gutter. Those were the good times. Hey Shin, let's strike it rich. Naruto looked sad as his eyes had a longing look to them. He gritted his teeth. I'm sorry, Idate, your loss was my gain. His friend should have learned one thing, and that is something he taught himself. Don't trust any Konoha shinobis. I'm so sorry. End of flashback. Naruto woke up as he was all bandaged up knowing it was Tsunami who did this. He went to the bathroom and then washed his face as he looked at the mirror seeing his reflection. Naruto saw a copy of himself and he frowned while his hair and face were wet. He then put his right hand on the mirror, his reflection doing the same, and spoke to himself. Do not dream. Do not waver. Do not fear. As much as you fear them, they fear you. As much as you are wounded, you have inflicted as much in return. Naruto's reflection got closer to him as he started to be in deep thought while he carried on. When you are nervous, think of all the sweat and tears you have shed. Now all Naruto could see was himself as basically two Narutos were looking at each other. You worked harder than anybody. From the mirror's reflection, Naruto's drenched face had a serious look while his hand still was on the mirror. You are strong, Naruto. It was time to be serious. From the door, which was slightly open, Tsunami can be seen as she watched everything. She frowned. Gato's mansion. A woman wrapped her legs on man with a gray ruffled afro. Gato-sama. The woman climaxed as Gato cummed inside her. They both laid there huffing as the rich man then he got up. Batter up, boys. What wah? Then two thugs came and joined in as the woman was screaming. Gato started to undress as he walked out of the room, leaving the two guys raping the girl alone. When Gato got out of the room, he went to the hallway of his mansion and looked at his window. He smirked when he heard screams echoing at the concentration camp beside him. A big muscly guy wearing a black cloak as his muscles can be seen through his cloak. The man was wearing brown pants with matching boots. His hair was pale blonde as he had brown eyes. Gato looked at him as he spoke. What's your report? The man nodded. Always dead. Gato's eyes went wide. Who killed him? He suddenly roared. The man unfazed carried on. The bridge builder got Konoha ninjas protecting him. One of them killed him. Gato nodded in anger. We must deal with them, they cannot ruin this. The big man nodded as he then was about to leave, but Gato stopped him. Protect the camp, no one can find out, you hear? The man nodded and then left. Gato smirked. With your strength by my side, no one can beat me. Yes, with you, former I was Earth Beast, one of the best shinobis of the lands of rock. Gato's cruel laughter can be heard amid the screams of the concentration camp. Tazuna's house. As Naruto laid on his futon, he looked to be in deep thought. Equally, his mind was in constant battle with itself. Flashes can be seen of a red-eyed figure who was smirking manically, and the screams of Aoi echoed his ear. No number. No. Naruto shifted to his right as hit his pillow. Why am I weak? Downstairs in the kitchen, Tsunami looked to be washing Naruto's plates while Tazuna and Inari went to the bridge. She finished the dishes and went to her closet and pulled out a book. Time to check our expenses. Tsunami sighed. Ever since Gato came, money was tight as there was constant security to how the family spent the money. Since the shinobis came, we have been in a deficit. Tsunami started scribbling down some notes. Maybe it's for the best and Gato will be defeated. You're quite good with money, said a voice behind her that made her scream slightly and turn around. It was a bandaged Naruto who looked at her with a smirk. This irritated Tsunami. Well, not to brag or anything, but I have finished economics and accounting at a top educational establishment. She didn't know why she was showing her feelings like this, but for some reason it felt right. The last time I felt like this was to my deadbeat boyfriend. Thinking about him made her mouth dry. Leaving her alone to raise a kid like that, he made her sick to her stomach. Naruto looked impressed. Is that so? Well, maybe you can help me with my financial troubles. Don't know math or anything related to save my life. Tsunami giggled. Sure, anytime. Naruto smiled as he started to walk off. Where are you going? To train. But you can't, you're injured. Naruto smiled at the worried woman. Don't worry, I will be fine. Suddenly Tsunami came next to him, making him look at her questionably. Just to make sure you won't hurt yourself. Tsunami gave him a smile that basically told him she will take no for an answer. Naruto sighed. In the forest east of Tazuna's house. Again. Sasuke. The Uchiha grunted as he charged at Kakashi, who looked to be on guard. Sasuke fell as he skidded on the ground. Not good enough. Kakashi was angry. Why do you always charge head on? Use your head. Tisk. Kakashi looked at the Uchiha as he warily got up while he was wiping his bloody lip. While both teacher and student were training a bit far away from them stood Asuma and Kurenai as they were overseeing Sakura's training. Sakura, keep trying. Sakura looked to be exhausted as she slowly got up and then ran towards the tree again. Her training was simple: to keep doing the tree exercise until she increased her small chakra reserves. Chakra exercises were not there to just help a shinobi control their chakra but also increase their reserves a bit. It was the perfect training for the pink-haired girl. Yugao, who situated at the top of the tree to have a look out, she saw Naruto and Tsunami, who slowly walked towards the group. Naruto, who wore his jacket on his back while its arms were flaying slowly, his bandaged waist showed to the world. He and Tsunami walked towards the group as they were training. This was noticed by Asuma and Kurenai as the two new arrivals walked towards them. Naruto, shouldn't you be resting? Inquired Kurenai, who cared for her friend's health. The boy in question narrowed his eyes. I'm fine, I can't just sit around while all of you are training. You will only be in our way in your condition. Tsunami looked to be agreeing with the smoker ninja as she looked her savior in worry. Suddenly Naruto snapped. I said I'm fine. This shocked the two Junins at the now angered boy. Everyone else all stopped their training as they all looked at Naruto. Sakura looked too exhausted to say anything, however Kakashi and Sasuke paused their training because the copy ninja started walking towards Naruto. Naruto, you have to rest, it's essential, Kurenai worriedly advised. Kakashi can be seen with his head down as he walked towards Naruto, who noticed. Do you think you're ready? Naruto nodded at the Team 7 instructor. Damn straight. Suddenly a fist flew towards the former vessel of the Kyuubi, who narrowly dodged the punch. Then out of nowhere another fist came towards Naruto, this time hitting him in the stomach. Ugh! Naruto skidded back as he held his ground holding his stomach. Kakashi, what are you doing? Kurenai screamed at the Hatake, who ignored her. Your reaction got slower, you're not fit to be in the front lines. Huffing, Naruto looked at Kakashi. You don't know me, so don't act that you do. I can take care of myself. Kakashi shook his head as he walked back towards Sasuke, who was also looking at his teammate. Sakura looked worried at the heated exchange. Naruto, rest. If you don't follow this order, you will be reported. You hear? You are already in trouble as it is. Naruto's eyes narrowed as he unexpectedly coughed blood. Naruto. Kurenai. Sakura and Tsunami looked worried. Then Kurenai went towards her friend and helped him up, using her body for him to lean on. You don't have to do that, panted Naruto, who coughed again, much to the girl's dismay. Tsunami-san, take Naruto home. Inari's mom nodded as she grabbed Naruto and slowly took him home as the boy begrudgingly left. Kurenai at that moment quickly went to Kakashi and she looked angry. You didn't have to do that. Kakashi sighed and turned away from Sasuke, who looked annoyed that his training was getting disrupted. Kurenai, I'm his teacher, I know what he is capable of. Kurenai shook her head. No you don't, he was injured. Words was just suffice, there was no need for actions. Kurenai, stay out of my team. What I do to my soldiers is none of your businesses. Kurenai's eyes narrowed as she looked to respond. Kurenai, Kakashi's right, he knows what Naruto's capable of. The red-eyed woman looked at Asuma as she huffed and walked off, shocking Asuma at the way she was acting. Yugao watched everything, then jumped after Kurenai. In the forest, towards Tazuna's house. Kurenai. Said woman turned around to see her friend Yugao, who jumped down towards her. Yes Yugao. The Anbu captain sighed. What's with you lately? Kurenai raised her eyebrow at her. I don't know what you mean. What I mean, ever since you met Naruto, whether you know or not, you have changed, Yugao pointed out. Kurenai's eyes went wide at that realization. Tazuna's house, Inari's bedroom. Tsunami set Naruto down on the futon as she sighed at his denial that he is injured. Naruto, the quicker you rest, the earlier you can begin, Tsunami reassured the injured blonde, who started to relax. Naruto shifted and turned away from Tsunami, making her sigh again. I will bring you some food, okay? She then left, leaving Naruto no time to respond. From his futon, Naruto had a faraway look as unexpectedly the window Naruto was facing started to be foggy, like someone exhaled a cold air on the window. What? Naruto quickly got up as there right behind him stood a masked figure. Using intuitive senses, Naruto quickly turned around. He gasped as right there at the top corner of the room laid a masked shinobi. This startled Naruto as he quickly got into a battle stance. When he got a better look at the masked figure, he disappeared. What the? The masked assailant quickly came from Naruto's left, who tried to attack to what he thought was an assassin who subdued Naruto's right arm and twisted it, making Naruto fall on his futon head first. Calm yourself, I bring you no harm. Naruto muffled on the pillow as then the door knocked. Naruto-kun, you okay? Tsunami inquired. Answer her, the masked shinobi ordered. Empa. Yeah, I'm just fine. Tsunami outside his door nodded and walked away. There, was that hard? When Naruto looked at the masked Anbu, he had a feeling he or she was smirking. Hey, you know, I would really feel uncomfortable right now if you were a guy. Naruto was right, because the masked ninja looked to be situated on top of his back, his or hers private parts right on his bum. Under the mask, Haku blushed as she quickly let go. Big mistake, as straightaway Naruto grabbed her and pushed her on the wall hard. He was about to hit her, but the masked ninja's mask fell off. His eyes went wide. Haku. Haku warily smiled. Hello, Naruto-kun. Naruto sighed, letting go of her. What are you doing her, and what was that all about? Haku nodded as she tidied herself up. Yuhi Kurenai sat on the grass in the forest in deep thought. Ever since you met Naruto, whether you know or not, you have changed. Did I really change? Muttered Kurenai, because frankly she feels she didn't change at all. She then saw Asuma, who started to walk towards her. This made her sigh. Guess I go see Naruto-kun after training. Tazuna's house, Inari's bedroom. Haku looked in silence as she was sitting on the table across the room. Naruto's face etched with worry and shock. Haku interjected Naruto, who barely couldn't say a word. Before you say anything, Naruto-kun, there is something you should know. Naruto shakily looked at Haku, who had a serious expression. I and Zabuza-sama are not doing this for selfish reasons, we are doing this because we have to. You have to. Haku nodded at the blonde. Mist long ago was a peaceful village considered to be the strongest of the five. Naruto's eyes went wide, but the suddenly thing changed. Haku suddenly had a worried expression. Bloodline users started being slaughtered, children being killed, mothers being raped. Haku almost looked be in tears as Naruto just froze. Have you ever seen a group of people tied to a post and then burned, have you? Naruto's eyes went wide at Haku, who started to hold her head in fear. Their screams echoed in my small ears when my mother and father ran away with me. One would expect things to calm down, but for me, who ran away with my parents, things just got worse. Naruto shook. Ho! How did it get worse? Naruto desperately tried to keep his emotions in check. I was just a few years old when it all happened. I was playing near a puddle of water when I suddenly moved the water in the air, controlling it with my movements. I was startled yet amazed when I started to play with it. I then hurried to show my Ka-san, thinking that she would be happy. Haku then had an engrossed look. Instead, she just slapped me and told me to never do that again. However, that was too late, as my father had already seen it, and Haku paused as tears started falling down her face at the memory which ensued in her mind. Then one day lots of villagers came to our house. My mum and I found out my father was responsible, as they wanted to kill me and my Ka-san just because we had bloodlines. Ka-san tried to protect me, but she was killed. I covered my head and screamed. The next thing I saw was the entire mob impaled on gigantic ice spikes. Haku's quivered as she looked at Naruto, her beautiful face now having a livid look. Now do you see what we have to do? Naruto trembled as while he looked at Haku, he saw her cold, lonely eyes, which made him flinch and look down while he then closed his eyes. Those eyes, they are just like mine. Naruto was about to give her his answer, but then suddenly he thought of something. Or someone. Ayame, Tsuki, Kusara. Each of their faces flashed in his mind. Naruto gritted his teeth. I can't, I'm sorry. He turned away from the way Haku looked at him, as frankly Naruto was disgusted with himself too. Turning away from others who have suffered just like him, he was a hypocrite. I'm sorry if I did do this, nothing will stop Konoha from punishing me. Tears enveloped her eyes again as Haku's just smiled sadly. I know how it is. I should have known you were that kind of person. Without any response, Haku disappeared as she jumped out of the window, leaving Naruto on his own, contemplating to what he has done. Naruto. A voice echoed downstairs, waking Naruto up. He heard Tsunami's voice ringing from downstairs, thus he went down to her to see what she wants. Shopping district. Tsunami asked Naruto to help her with his shopping, by which he reluctantly accepted because she again gave him that look that accepted no for an answer. Today for some reason Tsunami looked to be smiling as she looked be enjoying herself. Both Tsunami and Naruto were walking through the shopping center just window shopping as this irated Naruto. Who the hell goes shopping and not buy anything? Naruto suddenly shivered as he thought of the time where he and Kasara went shopping. She literally bought lots of clothes and for some reason only uses some of them. On second thought, I'm lucky to be not buying anything. He looked at his client's daughter while she was checking out some clothes for her son and for himself surprisingly. Naruto-kun, try this on. Naruto sighed. They were now having a break as they looked to be sitting in a bench near the park which looked to be demolished and distorted. Tsunami looked sad. Naruto noticed her and asked what was wrong. Naruto-kun, this used to be a playground, you know. This got the boy's attention. What, really? Tsunami nodded. Yeah, it was. Inari and his friends all used to play here, but Tsunami became quiet. Naruto also became glum. Gato. Said woman nodded. Yes, Gato, but you know what the worst part is? All of Inari's friends are now dead. Naruto's eyes went wide in shock. What, but they are just kids, right? Tsunami interjected. Yes, their parents all owned businesses, and when Gato took over their businesses, the Yakuzas killed them because they didn't want to be slaves. Naruto nodded. So Gato killed their families. Yes, I didn't tell Inari because I wanted to protect him, but it was too late. Tsunami nodded at the man who saved her. Yes, Kai's death really destroyed him, but now he is slowly getting back to normal. Tsunami then soothingly touched Naruto's knee and looked at him. Naruto, it was all thanks to you and I'm forever grateful. It's alright, I just couldn't let the kid be. Tsunami nodded. But what about Haku? This greatly surprised Naruto, who froze. What Haku's saying is no different to what you have done for Inari. Naruto became frantic, has held his head down. But I can't, this is too much. Tsunami then gently cupped his head. Naruto, you saved me not because it was your mission, because you believed that it was the right thing to do. That may not be true, because maybe I saved you because you were Tazuna's daughter. Then why did you stay behind when your team wanted to leave? Naruto's eyes went wide. Naruto, to tell you the truth, I'm attracted to you. Naruto blushed slightly, making Tsunami giggle. We had shinobis before, but they all cared for their missions. Some even sacrificed their clients to Gato. Naruto just kept getting shocked at what the woman next to him was telling him. When my father told me he is going to get shinobis, I thought he will die like the rest of the previous people who done it before him. I was right, all shinobis only care about is the mission. However, there was something that shone, something that was different than before. Do you know what that was? Tsunami looked at Naruto in the eye, who shook his head indicating that he doesn't know. It was you, Naruto-kun. Naruto gasped at her as her eyes was burning feverishly. Naruto then sighed disappointedly. I can't, even if I wanted to, I can't. So you fear your village? This made the boy's head turn so quickly at her. The way the man was speaking to you. Tsunami answered his question before he had the chance to ask. Naruto froze, Aoi's voice ringing in his head. You're quite famous. When I was in Konoha. Aoi smiled a cruel smile. We Junins used to have a game called Fox Hunt, as when you were in hiding we started to seek. Get what I mean? Naruto's eyes went wide while Tsunami trembled. Tsunami was there and heard everything. He didn't know she would add 2 and 2 together. Naruto-kun, just because I'm not a shinobi doesn't mean I'm stupid. Tsunami looked cross while she had her arms wrapped into a pretzel-shaped knot, resting just beneath her brias. Naruto waved his hands at her. No, I didn't think that. Tsunami sighed. So is it your village that's stopping you? Naruto nodded. Yeah, if they find out they will consider it as an act of treason and insubordination. I could get executed. Tsunami suddenly got a serious look marred in her face as she unexpectedly slapped Naruto. Slap. The boy looked at her in shock. Are you that scared of your village? I should have known better. This got Naruto angry as retaliated. Lady, you don't know what kind of life I have lived. Don't you dare judge me. Then what are you afraid of? Tsunami suddenly exploded. Naruto's eyes went considerably wide in shock. What am I afraid of? He remembered Haku's tears. I know how it is. I should have known you were that kind of person. Naruto then felt someone hug, which made him flinch. It was Tsunami, and the few words she said changed Naruto's life forever. You are strong, Naruto-kun. All you need is to take a leap of faith. Naruto's eyes went wide. Leap of faith. Tsunami then went close to him, her face close to his, making eye contact with one another. Yes, you may never know where you might end up, but it is better to take it than to never take it and think of what ifs. Suddenly a child came up towards them, destroying their atmosphere. Hey mister, have you seen a little girl? Naruto and Tsunami looked at the kid. The kid looked worse for wear as he was well malnourished and had clothes on that was too big for him. Naruto gritted his teeth. The kid reminded him of him. So both he and Tsunami looked at the kid as Tsunami looked worried. No kid but I. Suddenly someone screamed, Nichan. Naruto and Tsunami looked as they saw the little girl run towards the boy, Keiko. Both now brothers and sisters hugged one another. Naruto saw that even though the world was tough on them, they looked happy just by being together. Hey kid. The kid looked at Naruto, who walked up to him, getting the attention of both Keiko and Tsunami. Naruto suddenly took out his whole wallet as he then bent down towards the kid. Hey, what's your name? The kid flinched as he looked scared but answered anyway. Kentaro. Naruto smiled. Alright Kentaro here. Suddenly Kentaro received a wallet, making him confused. Take it and don't show it to no one, alright, but promise me something. Kentaro opened the wallet and his eyes went wide. The wallet was full of money. Kentaro quivered. I can't take this. Naruto then grabbed the kid by the shoulders roughly. You can. Don't ask questions. The kid then nodded furiously. Promise me something first, okay? Okay. The kid looked at Naruto, who smiled as he then brought out his pinky, gesturing the kid to the same. Promise me that you will protect your sister no matter what, okay? Pinky swear it. Kentaro looked determined. I pinky swear that no matter what I will protect my little sister. They then finished their customary pinky swear. Mister, what's your name? Kentaro asked while he looked on in amazement at Naruto, who smiled. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. You better fulfill your promise, you hear? Kentaro nodded as he then took Keiko, who remarkably hugged Naruto, who smiled at the girl. Tsunami looked on with a smile. Naruto, who had his back turned, stood up. Take a leap of faith, huh? Tsunami didn't answer, she just looked on. Naruto then turned around and gave biggest smile he could muster, making her smile. Well, why don't I see where it takes me? Tsunami smiled. That's the Naruto she known he would be. Let's get home. Naruto turned around and looked at Tsunami, who looked displeased. Naruto raised his eyebrow at her. What's wrong? Tsunami smiled widely, making Naruto feel a little scared. Who said we are done with shopping, Naruto-kun? Naruto's eyes went wide. Tazuna's house. Everyone sat at the dining table with Inari and Tazuna, since work on the bridge was done for the day. When Naruto trudged in through the door, he looked to be drained, with an amused Tsunami following behind him. What has got into you, Naruto? Sakura asked her teammate, who looked at her and just grunted, making her eyebrow twitch irritably at him. Naruto just went to the couch and jumped on it. What has got into him? Said Tazuna, who surprisingly is sober. He looked at Naruto, who lazily was watching the TV. Tsunami giggled. He just experienced a day without training. Kakashi looked at Tsunami, raising his eyebrow at her lazily. And what is that? Tsunami just smiled as she raised a pack of bags at him. Kakashi, who got the meaning, shivered and quickly went back to his reading. Asuma looked on with wide eyes while Kurenai and Yugao started to smile as they got up to go to Tsunami. Both guys were thinking of the same thing. Oh no, Naruto, you poor bastard. Tsunami-san, what did you buy? Tsunami giggled at the two girls. Nothing, just food. Junin sighed in relief for the male comrade. But I got pictures, and let me tell you, Naruto looks very handsome indeed. Tsunami stretched the word handsome, thus making the girls smile wider. Naruto eyes went wide. Show me, Tsunami. Yeah, I would love to see them. Okay, but Naruto-kun looks like a swimsuit model. He made the girls glee. They even chased him out of the shopping center. This got Sakura's attention as she too joined the group of girls. The moment Tsunami brought out the deck of pictures, time stopped. Tazuna gulped as he sweated in fear, holding Inari tightly, that looked to be struggling to get out. Asuma didn't even breathe in his cigarettes as it laid there in his mouth, wasting away. Kakashi didn't even flick a page on his precious Icha. Sasuke, well, he was Uchiha Sasuke and he was just being his grumpy old self. Wait. Time resumed as then everyone looked at Naruto, who slowly looked to be getting up, his hair covering his face. What is it, Naruto-kun? Tsunami smiled again, using that same smile that annoyed Naruto. Suddenly killer intent shrouded the area, shocking everyone. It was Naruto, as for some reason a black shroud was covering him, making him look even scarier. You're making me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry, said Naruto in a Bruce Banner style kind of way. Everyone shuddered except Kurenai and Tsunami, who just smiled at him. Then Naruto started to walk towards them, grunting as he got closer to them. As he walked, Sakura sweated in fear at the scary look he was giving them. He was then getting closer, thus making Yugao almost on guard as she now knew he was serious. He was getting much closer to the girls now, his footsteps echoing in the house. The guys watched in bated breaths, even Sasuke disturbingly. Tsunami and Kurenai just smiled as they kept their composure. When Naruto got to them, everyone gulped as Inari feared for his Ka-san's safety. Then without warning, Naruto just walked to his right, which was towards the kitchen. What's in the fridge today? Ah, hunger. Hunger. I'm stricken by hunger. This made everyone face fault, hitting the ground hard. They thought he was going to go crazy. They never thought he would do this. Tsunami and Kurenai smirked. Naruto may be a tough guy, but even he had a soft side. So Tsunami-san, are you going to show us the pictures? Said Sakura, as for some reason she was eager, while Naruto started to sweat when he was inside the fridge, so he started to wish for a miracle. Ka-san, I'm hungry, Inari whined. Saved by the bell, thought Naruto as he inwardly wanted to hug Inari and give the kid a treat. Sorry Sakura-san, we'll show you after dinner. Inari looked at Naruto as he looked back at the kid. They then gave each other thumbs up. Inari just saved the day. He was one miracle, alright. Kurenai looked disappointed. Yugao sighed and Sakura whined, the latter getting the attention of Kakashi, who raised his eyebrow at the girl but shrugged. His book was ignored long enough. Everyone then started to eat and chatting together in harmony, as after they ate everyone felt sleepy. The Junins and Yugao noticed, although they were affected, started to look around for enemy sightings as they saw the Genins fall asleep first. Kakashi looked on but then found out the source of the sleeping drug. It was Tsunami. Tsunami-san. Kurenai looked faintly at the woman who had her head down, her hair covering her face. Yugao tried to get up and go to her but didn't get far as she too fell asleep. Kakashi and Asuma hit face first on the table as sleep enclosed on them. Tsunami even drugged her son and her father as she looked at them with a serious expression. When the coast was clear and everyone was deep asleep, she then went to Naruto and kicked him awake. Ugh! Naruto slowly got up as he looked at Tsunami, who was smiling. Hurry, you must go. You don't have much time. Naruto nodded at the woman, who then gave him a hug. But what will you do? Tsunami smiled. Don't worry, I will think of something, making the man nod warily. Okay, I leave it up to you. Naruto was about to jump out the window and find Haku. He was stopped by Tsunami. Wait, Naruto-kun. Naruto looked at Tsunami, who walked towards him as she unexpectedly hugged him. Naruto-kun, don't be scared because you are doing the right thing. Naruto smiled in the embrace Tsunami was giving him. Don't worry, I won't. Tsunami nodded as she then let go of him. Tsunami, the woman looked at him as at that moment Naruto smiled lustrously. Thanks. Tsunami blushed furiously at Naruto, who jumped out of the window and then started to look for Haku. Tsunami looked at the window Naruto left on as she then clasped her hands together worryingly, her hands shaking. Be safe, Naruto-kun. Thanks for listening. In the next part. In the meantime, please leave a review. I would love to hear your feedback. Especially if it helps me improve the overall story.